You're good.
Yesterday had bees here, there, and everywhere.
How many grandbabies?
2. Yep.
Thank you.
A boy and a girl.
Good morning.
No.
I'd like to
probably
call to
not.
order the Properties, Environment, and Economic Development Committee. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
Mr. McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Banks.
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Here.
Approval of the minutes of February 26, 2026. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion made by Hardy, supported by Beggs. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Would we have any changes to the agenda this morning? Would we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll look for an approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved, Walker.
Support.
Moved by Walker, supported by McCormick. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will look for an approval of the agenda as written.
So moved, Walker.
Moved by Walker,
Support. I'll support.
supported by McCormick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Would there be any public comment this morning? Having none, I'd like to introduce Catherine Wright and Nick Siegel with our L4037 and our L4024. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning,
morning.
everyone. I brought some cool printouts for you guys. Hand more on the side, sorry. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here on behalf of Ed Van Vries to present the equalization report. The local assessors met their requirements, therefore equalization was not required to levy any factors. And so we'd just like to have that approved to be sent to the state. Do you guys have any questions?
I sent an updated equalization report from Ed yesterday, and just to let you know that Ed will be back here with us at the next board meeting to answer any questions, to review in more depth.
And I do have one I can leave with you too.
And I have all of those documents ready for you to sign off. Can you provide any information to the board about, there was a note in there from Ed about the additional taxes that we're receiving from the solar farm?
Yes, so that is going to be a temporary infusion while it's under construction. It doesn't qualify for any of the exemptions. Once the construction's completed, it'll start qualifying for some of those exemptions. So we'll see that drop down, but at least for now, we get to collect on it.
Interesting.
So
Did you say it would drop down?
it'll reduce after the construction's completed because they'll have exemptions that they then would qualify for.
And it goes without saying that this increase that there will be now will be for all of the taxing units, the schools and everybody else at the same time.
I believe it might be specific to Elbridge, but I would
Pardon me?
have to check, or it may be with the entire county. That would be one question I will ask Ed and have that ready for you.
And then it looks like there is a 10% in the equalized value.
Yep.
And then an 8.39%
for that
over the taxable.
Yep. And
So
then
the big increase with Hart Township is because of the solar field then? Is that when we look at the one you just handed out to us?
The increase for Hart would be some of that, and a lot of the solar is in Elbridge.
Pardon me?
Is a part of Elbridge, I believe. No?
No, the Hartfield only goes out to York Road. 112 is the town line. It's all Hart.
Okay.
So that's a substantial increase.
Oh, it's
You know,
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Almost a third.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and my understanding too is that it's gonna be qualifying for payment in lieu of taxes in subsequent years. So,
Yeah. Nick, is a pelt normal for solar fields? Is that something that's statewide that they normally do?
it is, and there are I believe there's another exemption program for solar fields that's like akin to an IFT, where a certificate is issued for a term, and a frozen taxable value is then issued for that term. But a payment in lieu of taxes is a little bit different, where that taxable value is frozen for a term.
Yeah.
So this year, while it's under construction,
It would.
it wouldn't qualify until it's completed.
Oh, okay. Paul, how many years is it to complete that?
It should be done this year. Yeah, they're almost done with all the panels. Pretty close. They're down in
Yeah.
Brandles Woods right
Yeah,
now.
So could I use the term that this is a 1-year windfall? It's gonna be reduced back out?
I would agree with that statement.
So.
Don't spend it all for a long period of time.
Exactly. Ed mentioned the pill. Correct me if I'm wrong, did he say that we would receive 10% of that? Is that what he said when he was talking about the pill?
Yes, I believe a county receives a portion of that.
Okay.
And then as far as anything new with our equalization department, we've added Michael Wolford helping and overseeing the field appraisals for our studies, and he's also a level 4 assessor. So got 2 good level 4s helping us out now.
Okay.
Mr. Hudson.
Yes, sir.
One thing that Paul, if I can, one thing that I think is interesting here is the village of Rothbury took the second lowest increase, and we just did an annexation of property into the village of Rothbury. Would those not be on the tax rolls till the next year for the village? Is that what's going on there?
Were they just agreed in 2026?
Yeah.
6
But-
weeks ago?
Yep, then that would be effective for the 27.
So there's a full year we'll go through that's not effective.
Correct. So for this current year, it would be before the annexation, and then as it rolls over, it would be after for 26, this current year. So this would be, the 25 bills would be prior to annexation, and the 26 bills would be after.
Mr. McCormick.
I'm just thinking about that solar, so isn't this 2025? In 2026 that still wouldn't be completed? I mean, they're not gonna be completed till the end of the year, so would there be another year of this before?
No, because it would be as of tax day, so the
Okay, so they just go by tax day, so
kind of kick in.
for that increase, that land was already on the tax roll, so the increase is just the improvements that they're adding, but they're not completed, so you must be taking projected costs and saying that's what we're gonna tax?
They report to us the amount of equipment under construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you just tax on whatever they report that the improvements are?
32%. And it's interesting too that, that's an 11.99% increase in value and a 10.83 in taxable in 1 year. That's probably the largest increase we've seen in a long
A
time.
moment, yeah.
No inflation.
I see Village and Ware, Grant Township had a pretty good increase too.
And that's a big cold storage, I'm guessing that's a big
yeah.
controlled environment.
Yeah.
Storage that they did on the south side in Ware.
Yep, that's right. Been a while since I've been down there, so I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
but that's a huge building.
Mhm.
Apple storage. Gotta keep storing apples.
Yum.
70%.
It's a big change.
I had to stop and think about that, Tim, because with the village of Rothbury being also with Grant Township. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking it is that controlled environment.
Yep.
That they put up there.
Exactly.
There's no other big construction in
Yep, right.
the township.
Would there be any more questions? Nope. Ms. Biard, anything that we're missing?
Nope, I don't think so, and like I said, Ed, is out of town right now, however, he will be at the next board meeting to, dive into this deeper and, give you any other information that's needed.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. I
Thank you,
will leave
very
this
good.
here
Thank
too
you.
for
Good to be
public
here.
consumption also. Thank you all.
Thank you for being here.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it. Very much so. Administrator Biard, Road Commission wage and benefit discussion.
So, Tim came to me, some time ago and said that the, road commission was having a discussion about their wages and benefits and, have asked for the board to consider an increase for, the road commissioners. And I provided that information to you. I don't know, Tim, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Yeah, it was just, I think it's a salary that hasn't changed in quite a while, so Chairman Myers approached me to see about considering that, and then worked with Renee Curtis and Mark Timmer at the Road Commission, just to, Mark Timmer did a little bit of surveying during their annual association, just to see what some of the other counties are doing as far as pay scale, some of the other things. One important thing to note, currently their pay package that's noted in there includes a $2,500 payment in lieu of insurance, and that's really not accurate because insurance isn't even health insurance isn't available to them, so they would like to kind of roll that into the salary package just to not create confusion to incoming road commissioners who maybe thought insurance was available. Just makes it all a little cleaner. So the recommendation was $10,000 to $12,000 in salary. We can I think that for those numbers or in between those numbers is reasonable. And then some of the other, they have vision, dental, and life insurance available, similar to our package, I believe. And so, and then their per diems and mileage just kind of mirror what this board has. And then I believe the other detail was $1,500 additional for the chairman, which Chairman Walker could attest to, that chairman of the board has many more responsibilities and a fair amount of time invested over and above that. So I think it's a fair recommendation. The board member, one of the board members, is here with us today. It's a pretty thankless job. Those guys kind of get beat up at all their meetings for potholes and other things that are out of their control. So I don't envy their position. I think they probably take more public pressure than even we do, because everybody's got an opinion about roads, as the last couple of meetings have attested to. So.
Paul, may I?
Yes, sir.
It has been several years since we did that. And when the road commission no longer got insurance, there was no adjustment in it, from the best of my knowledge, in their salary. when we did away with the insurance for the county board of commissioners, there was an increase in our, in our salary at that time. Probably 8 or 10 years ago, there was a statute passed that had a real short sunset on it, allowing the county board of commissioners to take over the road commissions. And the seated county board of commissioners at that time said, that's not gonna happen. And I think part of that was because of the, and we had 7 commissioners at that time on the county board, but I think a lot of that was reflective of what Mr. Beggs just said. The road commission is not a simple and an easy job. You know, I know there was just a meeting just recently on the closure of a road that had a lot of people, I'm told had a lot of people there, you know, at it. And it's not simple. And if they're asking for someplace in that $10,000 to $12,000 for a salary, I personally have no problem at all with the road commissioner's salaries going to $12,000. It's coming out of their budget, but by state law, the county board of commissioners sets the salary for the road commission. You know, and the commissioners there and the manager know what they can afford. And if they put that number out there, I feel comfortable that they know they can afford that, and I don't have a problem with going with that number.
And did you say 2,500 or 1,500?
1,500.
Oh, okay.
1,500 for the chair.
Okay.
For the chairman.
Yeah, that's what I have in the motion.
Well, then my thoughts would be $12,000 for the commissioners, and for the chair, $13,500.
Yeah, there was a brief discussion that I had with Mr. Timmer. He said a number of the counties that he surveyed matched the county board of commissioners to the road commissioners in salary. I did just kind of talk through him. You know, he on the surface it looks like similar amount of meetings and whatnot, but I reminded him of the additional, all the other meetings that we and boards that we have to sit on. They do have some subcommittees, you know, finance and personnel and equipment, buildings and grounds, which kind of mirror what we do. But then all the other so that was Mr. Timmer understood. So there is a, as well as a discrepancy in salary versus this board versus their board, there is a discrepancy in workload too. So he understood that and that was clear to him. So
Even Mr. Beggs, even with the discrepancy in the workload, and I recognize that, the road commission is a valuable board.
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That would also change your per diem then, too? That would be part of this? $50 is what I remember.
Yeah. Yep. I think the per diem and mileage would mirror our board, so if we change, they would change, and I think that's a reasonable across the board way to do that. So.
And that is included in the motion as well.
You know, here's one thing that's different between the boards that we all, the public may not know, and the road commission may not know, that when they changed the county board of commissioners to 4-year terms, the wages for the county board of commissioners have to be set before the election for that 4-year term, and we cannot increase or decrease the wages for the county board of commissioners for 4 years at a time. The road commissioners can have theirs readjusted.
Yep.
Good housekeeping. Would there be any more questions or concerns with the road commission wage and benefit discussion? Hearing none?
Paul, we normally don't do this, but does our road commissioner who is here want to have anything to say before we act on it?
Mr. LaFever?
I'm just mostly here because Mr. Myers asked me to if I could show up today, to show up today. You know, I really don't know the history of the wage amount for the road commission. I've served on city council for Hart and now the road commission. I've never gone into a position seeking how much do we get paid. It's never been my thing. So the other thing I would say is, as far as anybody on our board, if anybody deserves the extra amount that a chairman gets for us, Bill certainly does a lot for us, and I appreciate it, and I understand what you gentlemen do as well. And Mr. Walker, I heard you talk to these folks up here. Just all the board meetings that you have to go to, you know, I appreciate everything you guys do. But I support Bill a lot, and he's definitely done a great job for us. So that's really all I had to say, but I appreciate your guys' consideration in this.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Administrator Biard, mechanical inspector contract approval discussion.
So, as you know, we have been trying to get a mechanical inspector for quite a while now. Mr. Smith has attempted numerous times to get that passed through. Lara to get his license for that. He filed an appeal, and we were just informed recently that they have denied his appeal, and they aren't going to consider it any longer from this point forward. They said that it's been too long since he worked for that company, even though he's had his own business doing this very thing. They still will not consider it. Therefore, Brooke had brought this name and resume to our attention. Michael Jankowiak, I'm probably slaughtering that name, but she brought that forward and asked that the Board of Commissioners consider a contract with him for mechanical inspector services.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
I don't know this person personally, but I see that he worked in the Zeeland area, you know, so I just don't know him. But to follow up on what Tracy said, within the last month, Mr. Smith will be the third person who appealed his denial of a mechanical license with Laura that I know of who has been denied.
They raised the bar?
Something like that.
I can tell you that the inspector in charge, or whatever they call it, you know, and for the city of Norton Shores, and they would do a Muskegon Township, he is their building inspector, and their mechanical inspector is Bill Reagan, who has been with Norton Shores forever. And Bill Reagan is in his mid-80s, and they can't find a mechanical inspector. And when I did my update for my builder's license a couple months ago, the person who teaches the class is the inspector in charge for Grand Haven Township. Their mechanical inspector wants to retire too. They can't find one either. And one of the people that I used to work with is a mechanical inspector out of Manistee, and he covers from Manistee to Alpena, and he's a state inspector. He covers a band all the way across the Lower Peninsula. And how one person can do that, the state can't even find enough inspectors to do mechanical inspecting because the requirements are so high.
I guess we're lucky to find one.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Administrator Biard, I'm sure you got the email with his licensing that runs through 2028.
Yeah.
So, yeah, might be a good find.
Well, and at the same time, when I sat into my 3-hour update for my license, the first thing the person putting it on said, and there's a big company out of Petoskey that does this all over the state. The first thing he said was, well, you're all gonna sit and listen to me for 3 hours again, and the code hasn't changed since 2015, and the law says that the state has to change the code every 3 years. And here we are in 2026, and it hasn't changed in 11 years. But they won't let other people get their inspector's licenses.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Did you say the law requires that it changes every 3 years?
That is absolutely correct, Mr. Biggs.
That's our government hard at work.
Well, the Builders Association filed suit against the state of Michigan on the 2015 to take effect, and then they wrote to 2018 and didn't change anything in it, and they couldn't get rulings on it because they made the model energy code so high that you would have had to have 8-inch walls, and you would have had to have 3-foot insulation in your attic.
Wow.
And those are just, you know, I may be, you know, off
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was that difficult. And the thing that those of us that are licensed builders that follow, when you tighten up a home that bad, what do you have to do?
Yeah, you gotta ventilate it.
You have to ventilate it. You have to cut a hole in the side of your house and let the cold air come in.
Yep. Well,
Go figure. And that's what the litigation has been. And each time that they started a new one, the Michigan Association of Home Builders has filed against them. And
leave it up to the government to require obsolescence of their own rules and then not do anything about it.
but if we have the opportunity to get a seasoned
Yeah.
mechanical inspector, I think that's something that
Yep.
we need to hire him before somebody else does.
Yeah, I mean, according to his resume, he's got, what, 30-some years of experience. So.
Right.
Well, I can
Yeah.
honestly say that Brooke was very excited to be able to find
It's a good
someone.
find, yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Mhm.
Department head reports.
This morning. Thank you. We're getting ready for summer. And it's rapidly coming.
It's coming.
May I ask the undersheriff a question?
Or 3.
Are you in mourning
For
because of the movement of the Lakes of Fire to Lake County effective this year?
No, you know, I got contacted by Lake County, and they were inquiring on our interactions, and we have had a tremendous amount of activity down there over the years. So, and I conveyed that to him. But yeah, it's my understanding that they're moving to a venue over there, and
Luther.
so they're looking to try and adopt some ordinances to try and get ahead of any potential conflict. But
Well, they're a little bit late because Paul found the sign-up sheet form and they're accepting reservations now.
oh, really?
And volunteers.
It'll be, and volunteers.
All right, well.
Do you want to take some time off and volunteer? and go?
No, I'm good. We'll have our own visitors about that same time.
No, we're a month earlier.
Yeah.
We're the month before.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any public comment? Hearing none, we will adjourn the Properties, Environment, and Economic Development Committee. And turn it over to Mr. Craig Hardy.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
I'd ask for approval of the meeting minutes from April 9th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Beggs, support by Erickson. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Are there any changes to the agenda for Finance and Administration Committee? Hearing none, I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support. Motion by McCormick, is support by Mr. Erickson. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Is there any public comment for Finance and Administration Committee at this time? Hearing none. Administrator Biard, Shelby Township Fiduciary Agreement.
I was approached by Mr. Raffaelli with Shelby Township, asking that the board consider allowing us to be a pass-through for funds for a grant that they are receiving for a shooting range. We have done this in the past for their parks grant funds, and they are asking that the board consider us doing that for this project as well.
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I asked if you have that in front of you, do you look at the top of page 122 in this? And it's the counties shall not use, transfer, incumbent loan, extend, la-di-da-da with any of the funds. So that tells me this is not a one where the funds have to be paid in advance and then we give it there, it's not a reimbursement. But on number 3 on that, I have a problem with that. Under no circumstances shall the funds be used for county operating expenses, administrative costs, or any other purpose. When we set up our budget as a county unit of government, we do an assessment to all of our departments for costs associated with operating the administrator's office and the payment of bills and everything. And over the years, it has been discussed several times, how often do we get involved with grants that another unit of government has received or applied for, and we not charge any services, anything for the services of administrating it and paying the bills for them. And I just put that out for thoughts of the other board members.
What is the total amount of that grant?
$6 million.
$6 million.
Yeah. Okay. $6 million.
We have nothing to say about who's going to get selected to do the work. We don't even know if there's going to be open bidding on this, or if it's going to be like other projects that have happened in the past, that people are just handed the work. And if that's not a concern for the other board members, I can go along with it, but I just think that, you know, our name is on the checks.
Well, my personal feeling is there should be some compensation, because this adds a fair amount of work to the county. And
I'm not saying a lot of money, but I'm just saying that...
no, there should be something though, as an administrative fee.
Even if we could bill for the direct costs of the, you know, the time we spend.
Right.
It may only be, you know, a total of $1,000 for
Right.
the whole grant. But if we can bill for the direct cost, because, you know, what would happen if we had all 16 townships come to us at the same time and want us to do these all? Where do we say we can't do all of these things? And, you know, I give Shelby Township a lot of credit. They've done some great things down there, and they've done a lot. And we did the water lines for them. We're involved in the grant for that.
Right.
We donated ARPA funds for the fields, the athletic fields that they put in, and we paid bills for a lot of things, you know. And this discussion was held when we had the bicycle trail redone, and we received the grant money, and we paid the bills on the bicycle trail several years ago. I think that was before the other 4 members were on this board. And at that time, the board members said, we need to look at some of these things and see what our cost is.
Just an FYI, we are still doing the Pentwater Heart Trail project. That is still running through the county, those fiduciary. We are still the fiduciary for that project.
And there's no sunset to it.
And there were no administrative fees?
And it's not as if we haven't you know, reached out and helped Shelby Township on these things in the past, we have.
And just to let you know, I don't believe there is a rush to get this contract signed today. And the reason I say that is because I don't believe that they've even, they have finished the application and submitted that yet. We were just trying to get ahead of the ball, so that when those funds do come in, that we would have it set up and ready to go, if the board chose to do so.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
So I would agree that that's concerning if we're expected to do all the work but not recoup costs. An alternative to charging, I don't know anything about this project. I am a firearms enthusiast. The thought of having a nice range in county, I've got plenty of places to shoot, but perhaps I would be curious to know what their, you know, the place isn't even built yet, so maybe they don't know this yet, but is this something available where Shelby Township people have one rate and out of township but Oceana County people have another rate? If it's open to all Oceana County residents at the same fee that it's open to Shelby Township, then I'd be willing to consider, hey, then we can do this. It's a benefit for the entire county, not just for Shelby Township. Maybe that's an option. I don't know if they even know that information yet, but if this truly is, and it likely will be, but I'd be interested to know the fee structure planned if it's one rate for Shelby Township people and another rate for, you know, out of township, then maybe it's one fee for all Oceana County residents and another fee for out of county residents. I'd be willing for the county to absorb the administrative costs if the final product was available the same as it would be for Shelby Township residents.
Mr. Biggs, I could support that also.
Just my thoughts. Like you said, otherwise there is costs involved, small, but there is time and effort and energy to account for the ins and outs and all this money, and that comes at a cost.
And when we do an audit, we're going to pay the auditors to look at every one of those line items.
I mean, administrative fees are a pretty standard payment item out of a grant. I don't know what that number or percentage or would be, but.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes, Mr. McCormick.
I guess I'd be curious to hear what Tracy says about it, if it's just going to be absorbed into her office and it's just day-to-day work. There's no additional cost to us. If she says we need some overtime for somebody to take care of this, or we need to hire another assistant because this is too much workload, then there's additional cost. But if she's just gonna absorb it into her day-to-day work, what's the additional cost?
I respectfully totally disagree with that statement, and I'll tell you why. Because usually the engineering firms do these things and, you know, put all of the bills, and they get paid an administrative cost to do all of those things too. And I think we all realize that's a lot, the engineering firms, if they're, because there'll be an engineering firm that'll have to design this whole thing. So,
So if you redid the contract to include costs, would there be a cap then? Not to exceed.
If we did a contract for a cost, I think we should just do our actual cost, you know, and bill back quarterly for our actual cost for what we've done on it.
I think that's good.
But I also like that Mr. Biggs thought, you know, if we have the same tier for the same charging for everybody, you know, then I would say that we could, you know, we could waive those costs.
Who
Tracy.
drafted the first
Tracy, Tim
disagreement?
I did.
I'm sorry, but Joel had asked a question of you and I interrupted, you know, about your office.
There won't, I'm not gonna ask for another person, it would be absorbed in our office, just, as if we did with any others. When Mr. Walker brought this up to me, I kind of, thought of the situation that we have going on with our MIDC right now. I know that's a state program, it's a little bit different, however, we're asking them to pay indirect costs for work associated with what we're doing with that project. So it is a little bit different because it's within the county. So no, the work would be absorbed with what we have.
I mean, it'd all be stuff that's rolled in with our normal bills,
Yeah.
you know,
Correct.
so even tracking actual costs would be tough. Because it's, you know, it's dollars in, dollars out. It will affect the treasurer's office a bit. They have to track that money.
Correct.
And the administrator bills payable and.
You know, our treasurer is very, very good at investing money even on a short-term basis. What do we do that all of the investment earnings that she gets go back into the grant fund then? It sounds like it does.
I
we
don't
have-
believe there will be any, because this will be more of a pass-through.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is-
So,
Okay.
yeah, so, what'll happen is, they'll pay, the township will pay a bill from those grant proceeds, or from, they'll pay the bill. The money, the check will come to us, and then we're basically the pass-through for covering those funds.
So-
It's gonna be in and out.
So they get a bill, they send a check to us to pay for, to
Correct.
cover the cost of the
Correct.
bill that they're putting in, we deposit it and we write another check.
Yes.
I wonder.
Correct.
So just a minute then, that means it also goes through the treasurer's office besides the
Yep.
county administrator's office.
Correct.
We now have two departments that are involved.
I wonder, so looking at, so section 5, point 1, the same, so it says the county shall not use, transfer, encumber, loan, or expend any funds associated with this project for any purpose other than the payment of approved invoices and costs directly related to the project. So I would say that even if we had opportunity, that phrase precludes us from investing any funds, which I think you're right, Tracy. I think it's just going to be dollars in, dollars out.
Right.
It, you know, but I wonder, can't do anything with the funds for any purpose other than the payment of approved invoices and costs directly related to the project. I would argue that leaves an opportunity open to bill for costs directly related to the project.
As long as you remove number 3.
Right, they're kind of contradictory.
So I wanna
Well-
let you know that I'm the one that created that contract.
Okay.
And I gave it to Mr. Raffaelli to take a look at and look at it.
Okay.
He was good with what was proposed.
Mhm.
So if there are any changes, we can still make changes to that
Okay.
contract.
Okay.
That's just proposed
Sure.
for the
Okay.
board to look at.
Why don't we ask? You know, why don't we ask, put it in the contract and ask?
Sure.
Point out that section that we're gonna bill them for direct cost, and
Right.
Tracy can have a sideline and tell them that if the fees are the same for everybody in Oceana County, you know, then we'd consider not billing for it.
Honestly, that'd be my preference.
That would be my preference too.
Right.
I
You know,
like that
there's
idea.
there's really only one other membership-based shooting range in the county. And I don't know what their fees are. I haven't even been there in probably 12 years, so I don't even know what the facility is like. But if we have another option for our residents to buy an annual membership to at a reasonable cost for all of Oceana County residents, hey, I think that's a win. then the people renting the Airbnb at my place and start whizzing bullets over my house, I can give them a new address to go shoot at. So,
Well, I mean, to me, it'd be just as simple as modifying number 3 to say that the county
Yes.
can be reimbursed for expenses related to this. Because it's gonna be under a new GL number anyway. I mean, that account has to be totally separated, so if we modified number 3 just to say that the county can bill for direct costs, I think we're good.
Well, and, you know, and the checks that I've seen and received from the Community Foundation for holding funds, managing funds and dispersing, there is a fee that is deducted annually from those funds. And, you know, if we talked about 1%, we're at 60 grand, and if we talked about 0.5%, we're looking at 30 grand. If we talked 1/4%, we're looking at 15,000 admin fee. So maybe rather than worrying about how many hours somebody's in typing or writing, it's a flat-based percentage fee.
Yeah, but you have to, some things might get more complicated later on. You don't want to overcharge for it, but I think if they set that up as a direct bill, we'll be able to track it very easily. You just record the time, and because you're going to have a couple different departments. I mean, we could use it if you wanted to use a fixed fee of a percentage of the grant. You could. I don't know. What do you think as administrator?
I think it's gonna be hard to track. Just because, the treasurer's office is gonna have to track how much time it took them to receipt the money in and that kind of thing, or how long it's gonna take Tressa to process an invoice, or me setting up the contract, or, you know, those types of things. So,
Paul, 1% would be what?
60 grand.
So 1/10 of 1% is $6,000.
6 grand.
6 grand.
In a $6 million project.
I speculate it's gonna be that 1/10 of a percent in action. You know, I don't think it's gonna. We're not talking a lot of money here,
No.
and so that's why I think. And I would agree with Tracy. You know, if I were to go into my own business and figure out how long it took me to process one vendor's invoice and what that actually cost me, it's near impossible, because it's 30 seconds, it's 5 minutes, it's, you know, it's in the digital age, it's pretty quick. But
1/10 of 1% is not a lot when you look at the whole grant, but it's something to cover cost.
that's why I like the idea of just having hey, this is open to Oceana County residents at the same fee. We don't have to worry about any of this.
That's something that could be discussed when Richard sees it, or whoever sees it doesn't like it. Open it up at the same fee for everybody, and then we'll.
And maybe that's already their plan. I have no idea. And if it is, I think that's fine. If that's already their plan, I don't think we worry about administrative costs, because I think it's going to be a fairly small number, but it's still a number. So, like you said, if we end up with 10 more grants that we need to administrate like this, it ends up being, you know, a death by a million cuts. So we have to be careful of that. But I think this project, as well as their athletic complex, is a win for the county. And so, as long as it's available to the county, we can absorb a few $1,000s in expense to administrate the grant.
Yeah, I guess, not to contradict, but maybe a majority of the county isn't going to use it.
Probably not.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You might have a 75% of the county that's not, could care less.
Yeah, I mean, in a rural county, if I've got a pistol to go, she'll probably pop out my back door and shoot into the bird.
Exactly.
Am I going to load up and run to Shelby to shoot a box of shells?
Right.
Probably not.
So I don't know, the percentage might be better, to me anyway. 0.001 is $6,000. Would that cover it?
I would think so.
Then
So ask if they would consider, if the township would consider an
Well,
administrative fee.
I think that's fair, because again, the treasurer's office is gonna be involved with it, admin's gonna be involved with it, there's gonna be checks from vendors, approval coming in to pay the bills, so there's gonna be
And you're gonna have an audit.
and you're gonna have the audit, absolutely. And I don't know if you think 6,000 would cover it, I'd just go to .001. Would be.
All of the funds at the community foundation are handled in this manner.
Sure. I think it's fair, because if there's other projects that come up, and Tim, I agree with you, if it's open to the county, it's one thing, but I think it's gonna affect such a small percentage of people in the county.
Yeah.
Well, we have.
That there should be reimbursement for our expenses.
It's gonna affect people that live more in the urban areas than the rural areas. You know, the small villages and stuff, they can't go in their backyard and stuff.
Right.
But the people that have.
They shouldn't.
They should.
No, I concur. I think
stand
it's
corrected, rightfully so, Tim.
a great project, but and you're right, Tracy, if you've got to track everything that the treasurer's office is doing, you're doing, phone calls, emails, I think it's just put a flat fee in.
Mechanical inspector, right?
Yeah.
It's 6 million, it's an impressive project, but.
I could concur and go along with that. You know,
I think it's fair.
at least see what they say. They may see what comes back.
But as far as creation of that document, they have not had a hand in that yet, or reviewed it, or critiqued it.
Mr. Raffaelli has seen that document and reviewed it, and he was good with it. He said it was perfect.
But
Yeah, fantastic.
Is your head swelling?
I think in the long run too, this might help with other projects.
Moving forward.
Yeah,
Well, it's a precedent.
There's
Right.
the big issue right there. moving forward.
because it's a burden. And again, like I said, the project's not going to affect everybody in the county, but
I know that there's several grants that have come in for recreation. I know of one for $150,000 that the engineering firm is handling, and for that $150,000 grant, the engineering firm's getting $30,000.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions, comments? Where are we at here? Minister Ribeyard, prosecutor grant submission request.
So we received an email from the state of Michigan, and there are 2 different grants that they are providing, and that is for counties, 15 counties, the top 15 counties that have the most crime. And
Biggest backlog, isn't it?
yes, backlog.
The largest backlog in cases in the court system.
Correct. So, and what I've been told is the only reason that Oceana County is in the running for that is because of the way that Muskegon County changed up their reporting and that process. So, Oceana County is in the running for one of those grants, which is a total of $9,593. $95,593. Yes, and so I had a meeting with the prosecutors asking that he be allowed to submit an application for those monies. He talked about some additional equipment for the office that would help with that backlog, on top of he has a gentleman that he's waiting for him to pass the bar prior to taking on the attorney's position, but he would like to contract with him prior to him taking the bar, and that would come out of those funds. The question was, if he does pass the bar, how quickly will he be able to take on that position? But they said that they can take the test and it will be probably October, November before they even find out if they passed. So it'll be some time, but
So he wants to hire somebody on a contractual basis.
Correct.
To work strictly on the backlog.
Yes.
Tracy, you said that grant amount was,
I believe it's 95,593. I sent that to you, didn't I?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
what the document says.
oh, yeah, I got it here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Question?
Yeah.
Do we still have 2 assistant prosecutors approved
Approved,
Yes.
yes.
in the budget?
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
have been for,
And we
3
still
years.
currently
3
only
years.
have 1 assistant
Correct.
prosecutor, right?
That's correct.
So we have
Kevin.
Yes.
a vacant position.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Maybe
Good.
maybe this is a way to find somebody to take a look at that could move into
right,
a position.
I'm good with that. Any other discussion on that?
He did say that there may be additional funds in the next budget year that will be coming from this. However, he's not sure, and as of right now, that's what we have.
And the task that that person does, I'm sure they can't do any supplanting with that, with existing things, but all of the responsibility for that person will be with the prosecuting attorney, not with the county board of commissioners.
Right.
Do I have an agreement from the other board members?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Ballot language resolution 2609 for the purpose of the tax limitation. I gotta find it here, sorry.
So the tax advisory committee met in regards to the tax allocation. I have passed out the minutes that were provided by the county clerk for that meeting.
Oh, I have to
Craig?
apologize because I was on the board for the allocation meeting, and I honestly thought that the proposed language for that was going to go back to the attorney. That's my error. It's in your packet. I don't know if anybody's, I know Tim's read it and Mr. Walker's read it.
Did you see the email I sent you?
No, I did not.
Yes, there's a new email
Oh,
from the county attorney.
then I'm going to look at it here real
As a
quick.
result of your
It's
question.
not promising. So.
Can we share that?
Sure.
For those of us who don't have to.
Yes.
I got it here. So, well, Tracy, go ahead. Sorry.
Tim Perone, who is, he's with Coastal Krantowski, he is very well versed in ballot language and those types of things, and contracts. And his response to me was, if you're referring to the ballot question as to the separate fixed millage, which is what we are, then the ballot language is mandated by the MCL 211.205G. There is no provision in the statute for adding any explanation language to the proposal. However, the county may issue educational materials that explain the proposal, but may not expend public funds to advocate in favor of or against the proposal. So we can provide informational
Publication.
yes.
The question that Mr. Hardy presented was, the proposal proposition says, shall separate tax limitations be established for 10 years? And Mr. Hardy asked a question that this is actually a renewal of the tax, present tax that we have, but we're rolling back the Headley on it. The attorney, from what I understand, is saying that this is not a renewal and cannot be stated as a renewal because we're rolling back the Headley. Is that
Correct. Yeah.
the short version of it?
Correct.
People don't like new millages.
Mr. Hardy.
Yes.
So, I have a great deal of concern that this ballot language would not pass because it Sounds like it's an additional millage. I am not an attorney, and I don't usually like state law. So just looking at what the attorney, what the MCL 211-205G says, the question of adopting separate tax limitations shall be submitted to the registered and qualified electors of the county in substantially the following form. The word substantially, you know, my first reading was this is the verbiage. The phrase substantially.
So if I can explain.
Mm-hmm.
So the tax allocation committee can very well say that they're going to do a ballot language that says it's a renewal. However, you're not going to recoup the Headley that was
right,
lost.
Right.
Which is why we have to do it with that language if you choose to reinstate what was lost from Headley.
How much is that loss or gain?
Well, I believe it's, I'd have to look at the L4029, but it's, what that says, 5.7.
5.
Yeah, and I
Well,
believe
yeah.
it's down to 5.5 something.
So a quarter of a mil or less. Do we take the risk?
If we submit this ballot language, we've got a PR campaign ahead
We
of
got a
us
problem.
to educate voters what this actually means.
Our costs keep going up all the time.
Right.
And we realize that. But look at the windfall, instead of sunfall, that we're gonna get from the solar fields into the turbines. You know, we've got that coming in this year. And we have been very fortunate in Oceana County with the building industry and the SEB, and it goes up all the time and stuff. Maybe we're better off to set our budget, you know, on a knowing instead of taking the opportunity to have this millage be shut down.
If I could ask the county clerk, what's our timeline to have this?
For November.
No, I mean, it's gotta go on the ballot, but,
May 12th for the August ballot. And
May
then
12th.
it's right after the August election, so around the 11th that we'd need it if you wanted to, if it had to go back on the ballot for November.
But we should try to get it on August.
We
Yeah,
have time.
and that's the reason that we're getting it approved today is for the August ballot. But my question was, when does it have to be approved to be put on the November ballot if it doesn't pass?
The deadline is really the week after the election. You really don't, it's not a lot of time. That's why it's hard to turn it back around if you need to put it on both.
Right.
Yeah.
so,
So could the board, like, say, prior to the August August election, that if it doesn't pass, then they can, you see what I'm saying?
Is there any way between now and when we open up our regular meeting that we could get ballot language to put this on without the Headley? Could the attorney do that quick enough for us?
I think the attorney's essentially saying those are the words we have to use.
well, not if you're keeping it the same
Oh,
without,
sure.
without
Okay.
correcting.
I see.
Because then we can call it a renewal of.
Or a continuation, either one,
Yeah,
that's,
one-
The
that's.
tax allocation committee would have to convene again to agree to that, to bring it back to the board.
So any change that we'd want to make to this has to go back before the tax allocation.
Correct. Unless you're gonna do it the way.
Is it allowable for the tax allocation committee to convene again?
Yeah.
We could.
It is.
I know it's a pain, and I wish I would have understood when we met that I thought this was basically just not finalized language, but.
May 12th is the deadline for August.
Yeah.
So to get it,
And we don't have a meeting till May 15th. We could call a special meeting if we needed to, for one purpose.
so if the tax allocation board met, we'd have to call a special meeting.
And I'm in favor of calling a special meeting.
So am I. Because I can tell you right now, with this ballot language, and I understand what it's doing, the voters are not going to. and I agree with Mr. Beggs, that this sounds to me, and Joel, did you have a chance to read that? It sounds to me like we're tacking 7.3 mils on, and I don't care how you slice it up or down or sideways, we're not, but.
I'm very happy and glad that you brought this up. I don't want to take the chance myself.
I don't either. So I think two things have to happen. The tax allocation board's gonna have to meet.
We take
What happens if the voters turn it down?
We can come back in November, but.
But I'm saying, what if it just stayed that way? What?
Oh, that's only probably a $2 or $3 million reduction in your, no, I don't know what it is. What is it?
Well, but I want to point out that yes, it has there has been a Headley reduction because of Headley. There's been a reduction, but keep in mind that you have another 10 years before you can put this back on the ballot again, and you're going to lose. It's going to be reduced even more within that 10-year period.
But you're not gonna get this.
What?
You lose the whole 7.3 to the county
No, I
to
get that.
5.75,
I
you're
get
not
that.
gonna get it.
I'm just telling
No, I
you,
know.
giving you the information that it's going to reduce even more, which is going to be a reduction in what the county gets.
Right.
And the township and the ISD.
But Tracy, what did you say it was? I mean, this is set up at 5.75, and without the Headley.
I have to look at the L4029, but I
Is-
think it was like 5.57
Okay.
or something like that.
So.
Go ahead. I have a thought when you get a chance.
So what are you saying in dollars?
Pardon me?
What are you saying in dollars?
Well, I don't know with the difference depending on what we're getting now. I mean, it's not, what are you talking there? Hardly anything. But if you don't, I'm more concerned about
losing everything.
the millions if you don't get the 5.75, and if it doesn't pass in the upcoming election, then you go back in November and hit it again, and if it doesn't go,
That doesn't usually work good.
then you're talking a lot. That would take your.
Then realistically, then we're talking cutting personnel.
Yeah.
So if we leave it the
Well,
way it is,
big
we don't
time
have to do
personnel.
anything?
We need to, the tax allocation board has to meet again and say we're not gonna do the Headley adjustment. And I guess we could check with the attorney and find out then
I just emailed you.
that
To
we can do
ask
it
him.
as a continuation or a renewal.
Oh,
Well, my
you still
question
have to
is,
put it on.
can we even do that?
Huh?
Can we do that?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's what I'm wondering.
So if it
Is
stays
this
as-
required, or can we do millage language that says it remains where it's at?
Hopefully by 11:30 or by the time that we're ready to close our meeting, we'll have some concrete answers back from the attorney this morning.
Okay, you're asking him then if we drop it back to what it is, if we could do that, okay.
Yep, I am.
I have a bold thought here. What if we kept this language for the primary, pulled a PR blitz to explain what this means, that it, you know, we can publicize, the lawyer said we can't lobby in favor of, but we can educate that this is a continuation of the current millage with the Headley, with the exception of the Headley rollback. We can also educate the types of programs that will be required to cut if this fails, which I'm going to say something bold here, but things like our road patrol and other very important budgets are funded by this millage. I don't want to scare anybody into voting in favor of this, but and if it passes, we're in good shape. If it fails, we bring it back for the November election as a continuation of what's there.
Without the rollback.
These millage amounts have been in place since '96, right?
So, well,
For
my
every time
question
they
was gonna
submitted
be, was it this very language that was on the ballot the last time?
I think it was. I think we've used
So-
this static
so
language because of the
this
MCL.
language that that's coming before you today was on the ballot 10 years ago. This exact language, because that MCL has not changed.
Right. I think if we do a good job to publicize,
Let, and I agree with you, Tim, but before we put anything in to educate people, let's have the attorney take a look at it to make sure that it's worded properly.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't know if I still have them or not, but the tax allocation board,
I have my file in the office if you need to grab it.
well, no, 10 years ago when the board got together and did this and they put it on the first election period, it failed.
Because they tried to increase it.
They tried to increase it.
Yeah. And it did fail.
Yeah. Is that why the language was the same then? But I don't know when they went back at the November election if that language was the same as this or not.
I believe it was.
Yes, it's because it was based off what's in the MCL and it has to be the same.
So what was different?
Unless the law has changed since.
What was different on the first go around for voting then?
They tried to increase one of the millage rates.
Yes.
I don't know if it was County Township or
And
ISD.
Paul told us that too. Yes, they tried to increase the amount that, I believe it was the general fund amount.
Wasn't that? I was thinking maybe it was the ISD because they tried to bump from 0.3 to 0.45.
Okay,
And they wouldn't do that.
yeah. And the
So
voters
how
said
did the
no.
people know it was an increase? I guess I'm reading this ballot language here. How did the people know it was an increase?
I don't know.
From the first election to the second?
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe there was some,
I mean, it would've
something
been
that went in the paper
Yeah.
or some educational material that was put out to the community or what had happened with it, but Paul did say that they tried to increase it the first go around and it didn't pass, but the second time it did.
Just for reference, this MCL has not been edited since June 21, 1994, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could talk to Mr. Inglis, but that's what I don't understand is how the public knew at that time that
Right.
we could be asking for 8.3 on this one.
Right.
And then we could drop it back to 7.3 in the November election, and who would know that it wasn't an increase anyway
Right.
with just that language?
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, let's see if we get an answer from the attorney if we drop it back.
Well, where did you read, Mr. Beggs, that as far as maybe adding a couple things to this? What was
Well,
that?
I read the beginning of the question of the adopting separate tax limitation shall be submitted to the registered and qualified electors of the county in substantially the following form. I don't. So I read that to say, in essence, this is what it should communicate. Not that word substantially. I don't know if that means verbatim, or I don't. I'm just a mechanic, so I probably take that word a little more liberally than maybe a lawyer would. But
I remember several years ago when I was on the 911 board that we had the same discussion on wording, whether we could call it a renewal or whether it was called, we just had to put it to not using the word renewal, and we had to put it to without having renewal in it. I don't remember the specifics on it, but we talked about that at about two meetings and
Yeah.
stuff and the attorney finally said, no, you cannot do that.
right, yeah, I
Probably
I
the
don't.
same law firm.
I don't know that we could use the word renewal, but maybe there's a more creative way to, I don't know.
Well, as written, it's not a renewal.
Right.
Well, and that's what they're saying. We cannot add any
Yeah.
language to that because it's strictly by the MCL.
Yeah, it's not a renewal because it would be, what it's at right now has the Headley rollback in it, so.
So if I can ask, what do we do? Do we follow what Mr. Biggs is asking? Or do we just,
I don't know if what I'm asking is a good idea, it's just an idea.
or do we reconvene the allocation board and just take it off and, you know, move forward? You know,
Well, I guess if
you
the
know-
attorney, if we keep the rate the same, he hasn't answered you back yet, has he?
He hasn't answered back yet, but
let, there is the looking in the future on this, that if we go without the Headley increase, and if 6 or 7 years or 5 years from now, that we can't fund the sheriff's department the way it's at, and the treasurers and everybody else the way they're at, because we don't have that money from the Headley rollback. We have to keep in mind that Manistee County, Mason County, and Owego County, and Muskegon County all have millages for the sheriff's departments.
Mhm.
And we have the alternate of, you know, asking for a partial millage for road patrol or something from the sheriff's department, because we're one of the very few counties in West Michigan that has never asked for that. And there has been a lot of very good thought justifying why we should have that. I'm not advocating that right now, but I'm just saying that, you know, there is another way to fund the sheriff, to ask the voters to fund road patrols. Craig, I think I'm with you. I think we reconvene and we ask them to take it out, and we go and we still do our work to try to get it passed, you know, as a renewal. I think we're a lot better off, because that word renewal is a big thing.
We got time though, I guess we'll have to wait and hear what the attorney actually says, if we leave the rate the same, if we
Why
can use renewal.
don't we go on to payment of claims, Craig? Craig, I'm asking you if you would like to go on to payment of claims, and if we get
that
an answer
makes
back.
just one more comment. So you know, even if we just seek the renewal, you know, we do see annual increases like we saw with the equalization report, where we are getting roughly equal to inflation increases in property values versus that help us pay for inflated prices of cost of service. So even if we renew it, we're still seeing growth in property values throughout the county that help meet that need.
11%.
Yep. Maybe we don't see that next year, but this year we do. There's always growth in property values. Well, I shouldn't say always. We've regularly seen growth in property values. So.
well, I will tell you that in everything that I'm reading, I don't think you can change it. I think it has to be that language.
Okay.
If we're not asking for the Headley roll,
Yep. Everything I'm reading is saying that, but I had that question into the attorney, so.
but it's a renewal. It's a renewal
Yeah.
if we don't have the Headley rollback or anything else.
Yep.
I think that's the key issue. And that's what Central Dispatch did. They took off all of the increases and everything, and they
Yeah.
just went with what they had before, and it was called a renewal.
And
I'm not an attorney either.
Yeah.
there's an MCL.
All I know about taxes is I write checks for them twice a year.
And I grumble about it every time.
Or
Tracy, on
I
those,
do a little bit.
if I may, on those, the previous meeting that was held 10 years ago, do you have that sheet? I thought I brought it with me, and I do not.
I can go grab it.
That'd be great, because I think that states an MCL in there that says that you can call it a renewal.
By the way, moving forward into the regular meeting, I don't know if all of the board members are aware that we cannot have a closed session today. So we will not be going into closed session to have a discussion with our attorney over the litigation that we're involved with.
Gosh, I guess I should have left my paperwork in my bag. I don't have it on my computer.
Okay. I've sat on boards before and boards with unit of government before. When we came into meetings like this and not a single board member has read their packet before they came
Yeah.
to the meeting, or even county board, there was one or two board members that a lot of times never read anything before they came into the meeting. And we never got in discussions like this.
Mm.
And I think it says a lot for the board members that sit here now, that they look at things and they come prepared.
It's important work.
But even with the other boards I sit on,
Yeah. I'm correct in this 5.75 mils for the county. This is our general fund budget, right?
It
Like-
is.
Like if it goes away,
There,
essential services are no longer funded.
5.5377 is what it's at right now.
okay, close enough to.
So, Craig, what was it that you were asking for?
During the meeting 10 years ago, there was a discussion on one of the pages that said, reference the MCL language for.
I bet it's 211.205G.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's what you my mind.
And Jana is looking for the meeting and information from 2006, because this is from 2016. They would have done it 10 years prior to that, so she's looking for that information as well.
Where was that, MCL? What was it?
It's on page 3.
Oh, shoot. On page 3?
Yep,
I only got
211.203.
I only got 2 pages.
Oh, sorry. Well, here, you can have this one. Good morning, sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah.
What she brought up. I don't know why she had to go get it. Sometimes it does feel like.
Sorry to hold it up here, but,
Yeah, I just told her. He didn't
Oh,
know.
and Joseph loves coming to the meetings. Joseph loves coming to the meetings. He prefers we, you know, But Christy did an excellent job when we were both doing it. I was very proud of Christy too. He is very good at everything I ask of him.
So, in the meeting they had 10 years ago, basically under the 211-203, the Property Tax Limitation Act, according to the statute, it looks like the proposal could be submitted as a renewal or a continuation. And I'm sure it says here, ballots cast. Yes. The ballot proposal, let's see, where does it start here? Right here. So if a previous increase in the total tax limitation or property is about to expire and a new increase for the identical amount levied in the immediately preceding year or a lesser amount is proposed, the ballot proposal may be presented as a renewal or continuation of the previous increase for a special number of years. And that says the ballot must specify the intended purpose of the renewal of the funds. And then obviously if you're going to increase it, then it goes to a different language. So if we hear back from the attorney, I got a funny feeling under this MCL that he's going to say that if we left it at the current rates, that we should be okay. Or we can call it a renewal.
He is saying the ballot language is mandated by the MCL 211205G regardless of the specific rates. The rates in the ballot language should be as determined by the County Advisory Tax Limitation Committee. Yeah, and that's what they're saying.
That's his new reply?
Yes, that was just now.
Is he, which one is he doing, MCL?
Yes.
211, 203?
205G.
20 what?
205G, because that's where the language is at.
That's, yeah.
Well, how come that's in contradiction to the 211-203, which is the Property Tax Limitation Act excerpt?
Lawyers and legislators, that's why.
But that states right in the law that you can call it a renewal or a continuation. Can you ask him that? I hate to ask him, but
Read your portion again.
if a previous increase in the total tax limitation on property is about to expire, a new increase for the identical amount levied in the immediately preceding year or a lesser amount is proposed, the ballot proposal may be presented as a renewal or continuation of the previous increase for a special number of years. And that's in section 3. So it's 211.203 section 3. And I don't know, I'm going to have to look up. So his is 205G.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we're requesting now is what was those 5.75 and those amounts have been requested every year or every 10 years since 96. So they request that amount. It's been the same in 96, 2006, 2016.
With that language.
It's
very
the
language.
same. And so we usually, I think that's why they usually use the 5.75 because you request that and it is a continuation of everything that was approved for the last 30 years. And then it gets the Headley rollback because it is ending this year. And so we are asking for this for the next 10 years. And so we wouldn't be asking for an increase. We'd be asking for the same amount we asked in 1996, 2006, 2016.
I was kind of thinking that same thing,
Yeah.
like, that's been the request.
Yeah, it's not an increase.
No.
It's the same thing we requested for the past 30 years. I mean, as far as whether it'll pass or not, that is dangerous anyway.
Yeah.
For all the proposals.
Yeah, because it says from 2016, it was the consensus of the board to leave the county's fixed rate at 5.75.
I don't get it. Because this was the same thing that the board had before, previously.
Well, if you read that too, it says, it does say that, moved by Hendrickson and Bile to submit a request to the Board of Commissioners for a renewal of the county's fixed separate tax limitation, which shall not exceed, and then it went on to say about the same exact numbers that we have in front of you now. And that's what went before the board, was that actual language that's in the packet.
I think that we need to reconvene the allocation board and have a discussion about this, and then call a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners within a day or two after the allocation board meets, and bring it forward. Let's get it right.
Yep.
I think we can. Tim, that was a good proposal you had, but I think we're too risky going forward with it. So let's just take the Headley rollback off for the time being. And as I say, said earlier, if we have to look at a special millage for special services because we can't live within it with the rollback, we'll look at that at a future time.
I don't have a problem with that. I think what Melanie just brought up and what Tracy just read, I mean, 10 years ago when Headley was in effect, right?
Yes.
They used the same language that was recommended by Tax Allocation Board for this time.
3 times it's been like that.
3 times, yeah. So maybe I'm overthinking it.
Didn't they
with
call it a renewal though?
They did there, but the language that went on the ballot is the exact same language that's in your packet right now.
So the tax out in their minutes they call it a renewal of, because it's unchanged.
Yes, but it was not that way on the
but
ballot.
on the ballot they're using the MCL verbiage for the last 30 years.
Correct.
Well, if that's what we need to do, then, and I will go back to the commissioners who were on at that time and ask what they did for education. You know, that it's not an increase.
Yeah, I mean, because what our clerk said, you know, that 5.75 has been the request.
For 30
and
years.
Headley rolled it back, so that the request has always been,
Yep.
and Headley did its work. If Headley's expires this year, then our request is still the same. We just have to do a good job to educate the voters of what's being asked for is renewal. We're not asking for more, but it will generate more income because Headley is rolled back. But that's not our doing. Implementing Headley wasn't our doing, and expiring Headley has nothing to do with us.
Correct.
So.
Right. But you're absolutely right. We need to do a bang up ad campaign. I mean, information.
So,
Can you help us with that?
Claire can.
So are we going to take the Headley off? Reconvene and take the Headley off?
I don't think we need to.
Okay.
No, if this is gonna be the language, it isn't gonna make any difference if it says 7.1 or 7.3, or nobody's gonna,
It's the language, it's the word renewal.
but without renewal or continuation in this, that goes back to letting the public know that this is just really a
Renewal.
renewal.
But
Because-
without it, you know, everybody's running on no more taxes.
Yeah, because, and again, that's, when you read this, shall separate tax limitations be established for a period of 10 years, 2027 to 2036 inclusive, or until altered by the voters of the county for the county of Oceana and the townships and intermediate school districts within the county of Oceana, the aggregate of which shall not exceed 7.3 mils as follows. Yes or no? And to me, I'm looking at it like an average person is gonna look at it and go, they raising my taxes.
Yeah.
7.3 mils?
Yeah. It sounds like an additional
May I?
tax.
Yeah.
So if we reconvened and you chose to go with the amount that Headley rolled it back to, would we not be subject then to another Headley rollback?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's possible.
So then we'd be receiving even less than we have for the last 30 years.
Yes, exactly. So right now, you're at the 5.5377 or whatever
Yeah.
that was I said. That is what it would be set at, if you can even do that. And then Headley would continue over the next 10 years to drop
Well, then I
even
guess
more.
go with this is my recommendation, and if we don't get it through the first election, we have to come back in November and do one heck of a job
Yep.
telling them why.
Yeah, because
Correct.
it appears the previous 3 cycles, the word renewal or the idea renewal was not used.
Right.
Now, we have a different, even myself, I don't like property taxes.
Yep.
I own that property, but if I don't pay the government, they can take it away. I have a problem with that, but that's our current situation.
Yep.
That's how we fund everything that's done here currently. And so, we just have to find a really good way to communicate through as many means as possible that this is not an increase in taxes. This is status quo for the last 3 cycles,
Yep.
30 years
Yeah.
of this millage, and these are the items that this money funds. Not in a scare tactic way, just information. This is, and we can use the papers, we can use our website, we can draft some Facebook stuff to get shared
Sure.
out and about, and hope that we cover enough bases to educate the voters before they hit the ballot box.
Correct. And I will work on preparing that and get that out to the board members, and I think we can
And
tweak it the way we want it, and
yeah,
yes.
and before it's publicized or anything goes out or anything's put in flyers or anything, it goes to the attorney.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Sorry that took so long.
That's okay.
Nothing
wrong with asking questions.
Roll of the dice. Administrator Biard, Administrator's review of selected claims for payment, Administrator report.
The claims are in your packet. Does anybody have any questions on those?
I would just like to state there's one claim in there for $3,500, and I'm not gonna belabor it, but I think we need to follow our established procedure when we have a claim like that and get more than one price on it. Maybe there was, maybe I'm mistaken. Administrator's office wasn't aware of there being any prices on it, and I also like the idea of giving preference to Oceana County businesses on things like this. Often the big guys from the big city will say, well, your people can't do that. Well, they've got the same license to do it, they should be given a shot to do it. Not a big deal, I just think we've got a policy, let's kind of stick with it.
All right.
Okay, in addition, we had the County Alliance meeting. I would like to say to all of you that attended, thank you for coming, and it was nice to see everyone there. In addition, I wanted to, trying to see if I put it in the packet, was the, about the indigent defense. I briefly touched on that. Just wanted to let you know that we went through mediation. We're awaiting a response from the judge. We should have something back within 30 days. And Toby Lake, the administrator of Lake County, and I both stressed to him that it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the fact that we weren't getting our indirect costs. That would help with that program. However, we felt that it should be the same across the board. There are some counties that are getting those indirect costs, some are only getting a 10%, some aren't getting anything, and we stress the importance of making that a priority across the board with all of the counties, and that we should all be getting indirect costs because it costs us to operate. So that's all I have.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. I do want to say thank you for your staff putting on the affair the other day. It was done very, very well. And,
Yes, Jana did a very good job.
I think everybody enjoyed the meeting. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Department head reports.
I just wanted to say a
Sheriff
couple
Schiller.
things. First, thank you for acting on the circuit court steps. I know the sheriff was in a couple meetings ago and talked about those, and you got a first-hand look at what they condition there. And so Mr. Blanchette is actively seeking some quotes and estimates and trying to figure out a good solution for that. And I know, matter of fact, I know he's working on it today. I heard some tape measures being stretched out there a few minutes ago, so thank you for that. We just need to deal with it. Secondly, Ms. Byard and I have been talking about funding and resources about the inmate health program, and that's a significant expense to us, and that expense continues to go up. And so I've been talking with her just about what that looks like moving forward for the next few years, and I have last year you may have heard of a grant program. $173 million was allocated to the state of Michigan for the Rural Health Transformation Program for healthcare. And looking at that program, I felt like it's a very good possibility that we could look to that to help offset and fund some of those costs. So I've started some conversations with some people about that. That's a big pot of money that has to be spent by the state before October of this year, so it's happening quickly. And I spoke with some executives at Trinity Health, and I've had 2 calls with them. We have a 3rd call scheduled with their grant department. They're optimistic that that they might be able to assist us in some sort of grant application. So when that becomes known, I will certainly come back to this group and request that permission to move forward on that. But they have been very, very helpful this far, at least exploring what that might look like for us, because it costs us about $214,000 annually to take care of our inmates, and we are a very small number compared to our neighbors. Like we're very, but it's a lot of money. So just wanted to throw that out there.
At the Alliance meeting, the Seven County Alliance meeting we had last week, I think it was Manistee County, Tracy, I saw you write down the name of the company that they just entered into agreement with.
Advanced Correctional Healthcare, which is who we already contract with.
Okay.
Yeah, they tried to steal our nurse. I'll just tell you. So, no, ACH is a great company. We've been very pleased with them and the services it does. So, for those of you who don't know, we contract our inmate healthcare out to a third-party vendor. We used to do it all in-house, and we used to pay Dr. Wagner directly, and we used to pay some of his
We had a good.
malpractice
deal before.
insurance and so on and so forth, but there's a real liability and a real burden to the county when you are kind of owning your own inmate health care. By contracting out, it takes away a tremendous amount of liability for us as a county, but there's a price tag to it.
Every
And-
time you put that uniform on, you have a tremendous
yeah,
liability.
so it's an expensive thing, but we're trying to figure out some funding vehicles for it. So I will report back as soon as I know more.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other department head reports?
Can I,
Yes.
say just one thing? I wanted to, let the board know this. So the HVAC project for the CSB is partially finished. And that same person, or same company was doing our, preventative maintenance. And, we have been informed that, that they are no longer able to continue with that, so we are putting the preventative maintenance back out for bid. And we are also getting bids for the remainder of that CSB project for the HVAC units there too, and I'll be bringing that back to the board.
Okay. Any public comment at this time for the Finance and Administration Committee? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee, and we'll take about a 10-minute break before the regular board meeting starts.
So some of us can run down the hall.
Huh?
So some of us can run down the hall.
Yeah. 10 minutes or 15 maybe.